Hey everyone, this is Drifford speaking for Gamerside, and today I wanted to say a few words about Monster Hunter Rise, which is coming on PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Xbox Series S and X, and I wanted not to talk about the game as I believe that you know all there is to know about the game. It came out on Nintendo Switch originally, then a few months later it arrived on PC a year ago, actually, if I remember correctly. It was in January 2022. And now you're about to be able to play the game on a PlayStation and Xbox consoles. And I have actually been able to complete the main storyline, let's say, although if you know anything about Monster Hunter, that it's not a game that you play for the story, and that even when the Magnamalo is defeated, because it's the main objective you have, you're going to be able to continue and keep playing because more missions are going to unlock and more monsters and more creatures to hunt and defeat. So it's sort of a never-ending game, especially if you like looting and crafting new armor and weapons and everything. And I don't believe I need to convince you to play it if you have already played a game in the series. So what I wanted to do, maybe first, is modify the language, as I was playing in French. I'm not a very I'm a newcomer to the series. I discovered the series with Monster Hunter World, like a lot of people I would say, and played I think something like 30 hours, so not a lot for a Monster Hunter game, as you probably know. And for this one I merely play 20 hours or so, maybe a bit more. I'm not the kind of player who's going to try and unlock everything or see all the monsters, but I had fun playing the game. But the reason I'm making this video, and it's not a review, was to basically show you, so 24 hours playing the game. I wanted to show you the different graphics modes, basically, and how they work. I'm not John Linneman or any other guys at Digital Foundry by any means, so don't expect much information, but I wanted to show you the game and the different options you have in the settings. And to start, so let me go to the option menu. You actually have 3 graphics modes, but there's a sort of a fourth one if you want, that you can actually customize yourself, just like in a PC game. The default mode, if you open the settings menu here, you're going to see that image quality is at 100%, the high resolution textures are on, texture filtering is high, ambient occlusion is on, shadow quality is just average, dynamic shadows are off, foliage sway is actually activated, and then you have the choice to add motion blur, default or heavy if you really like motion blur, lens distortion, same thing, on and off. And there's also this effect, if you like it. You can also deactivate it. So it's really something you can really customize. You can add depth of field, which actually shows here. You can see that everything's blurry now in the distance, and some people like it. And even like in the foreground, you can see my Chomsky is all blurry, and it's very nice as it adds depth to the scene. I would say personally that I'm not too fond of it, as I think I find it a little distracting in the distance, as I like to see clearly where I'm going. But again, that's a matter of taste, so I'm not going to talk about that. So I'm just going to deactivate everything that is not in the graphics mode per se. You can add the motion blur and everything else I just mentioned in any of the modes. You can also choose to play and prioritize frame rate, in which case you're going to see a big difference. I would say look at the trees on top of the screen. The vegetation doesn't move anymore, so the trees are immobile. And image quality takes also a hit if you check. Look at the Chomsky in the foreground, the textures. And if you check the setting menu, you can see that image quality is 70%. No high resolution textures, low texture filtering, no ambient occlusion, shadow quality is low, no dynamic shadows obviously, and like I said, no foliage sway. The thing is, and here it doesn't show, the point of this mode is actually to, I didn't check how smooth the frame rate can go, how high it can go, but I would reckon it's targeting maybe 120 frames per second. And well, again, if you don't mind the loss in image quality and the visuals, you might actually find it very good. As for me, even when I was playing on my display, not using the capture card, so being able to play at higher frame rates, I didn't think it was worth the loss. Now the last mode you get, obviously, it's nothing too surprising when you know anything about games these days, is you can prioritize graphics. So in the graphics settings, you can see that image quality goes up to 125%, that you have the higher resolution textures, the texture filtering is high, and everything is similar to the default mode except that you have dynamic shadows. Which is, I think, is supposed to be on now, because it says that it's only configurable from the title screen, but I think when you go from one, let's say from one mode to another, it's supposed to work. It might not be true, in which case, I'm sorry, I'm not showing it very well, but I'm not going to go back to the title screen just for that. And the rest is very, other than the image quality and the dynamic shadows, it's really the same as the default mode. Now, what you can do is you can have your own personal settings, and so you can decide to go too low in image quality. I don't see why you would, but who knows? Some people might want to get the extra frame rate just for that, or you can simply be reasonable and say 100% and leave the rest on. In my experience, and this is based on my time, maybe before the latest patch, which came out I think recently, and I got the game before the holiday break, so before Christmas, so I've been playing for quite a long time, and only 24 hours, so see, I had other games to play, I guess. So in my, and I'm going to check if it's still the case, but when using the graphics mode, basically I was able to spot some, very occasional dips. Something that would happen, but I think it's been fixed, is when I would move the camera slowly like this in the village here in Kamura. There, you could basically see a little bit of stuttering when moving, then panning the camera like this, and it seems to be very fine and very smooth, which is good. Now in combat, and this is what we're going to do, obviously we're going to try combat. Occasionally I could see also some dips when there were heavy effects, especially in the front of the screens and with the alpha effects and everything going on. It was never something that bothered me, but if you really want a steady frame rate and you don't have VRR, it's probably best if you play in default mode, or if you try to see if just maybe lowering the image quality and deactivating, who knows, the dynamic shadows, because I'm not sure they're really essential here in a game like this, would actually allow you to have better shadows, because if you check the shadows, it's pretty obvious that they make a difference. Not especially visible when you fight a monster, but so sorry, let's do this. Shadow quality, if I go average, to see that it's less defined, and there are more jaggies here. Obviously, if you try lower, it's even worse. And I think the draw distance of the shadows also is probably affected. So, I mean, average is okay, but clearly high is much better. So if you're sensitive to this, you want to play with high shadows and just lower the image quality if you see any slowdowns, and well, yeah, maybe I can sense just that it's not exactly 100% perfect sometimes, but I don't have my frame rate tool to check, so So just, you know, give it a try. One thing that is great, but I think it was also the case on Switch and definitely on PC, is that it's very easy to navigate in the different places just using the map, and it's you know, you don't need to wait. There are no loading times, and I'm going to show you that if you no, sorry, just stayed in the same place. That if we launch actually a hunt, it's going to be the same. So let's see here, something reasonable. Something where in the sandy plains. Okay. So I should actually eat something before I go and try and fight this monster, but we're just going to, again, I'm not showing you a mission or a hunt. I'm just showing you how the game runs and also how fast the loadings are. So here, see, there are loading screens when you go on the mission, on a hunt, but it's very, very quick. And then the game, well, basically looks like, I think, would say the PC version. I've never played the PC version, so I don't know if there are probably a bit more things that you can activate in the PC version. But overall, it looks very nice. But it's still a Nintendo Switch game, so obviously I'm curious to see what they can do in the future in a game that is basically meant to be played on PlayStation 5 or on Xbox Series S or X, and to see what they can do with the RE engine, because this is the first time that Monster Hunter is actually using this engine. It used to be the MT framework for a Monster Hunter World, and well, it looks very similar in a way. It's just probably less detailed, and you know, some of the textures are not maybe as polished as they were even on the last gen consoles, as again it is after all just a Nintendo Switch game. So here you can see that maybe, yeah, frame rate is not perfect even when you just lower the image quality. So what I'll do is I go back to the default mode, and this for me looks much more like it. So that's basically all I wanted to show you, and I know it's pretty short. Sorry, didn't mean to bother you. But the thing is, I'm recording this, well, just a few hours before the embargo lifts, and because I didn't have time before, I confess. And I want to keep it short, and I want to keep it simple. If you want to know anything about the game, well, there are tons of reviewers that actually talked about it when it came out on Switch or PC. And this is just me showing you how the PlayStation 5 version works. Would only say that I'm a bit disappointed that there's nothing in terms of DualSense, features that the developers used. Even the rumble and everything, there's nothing special. So bit of a shame, but the game remains what it is. So if you like Monster Hunter games and you haven't played it on Switch or PC, it's going to keep you busy for actually a long time. And if you own an Xbox or even a PC and you have Game Pass, I mean, you can play it for no extra costs, and it means that you can try it for free, and that if you enjoy it, you're going to, well, be in for a nice treat, and be able to maybe wait for the next big games that you're anticipating for 2023. So so that's it for me. Just a quick change of modes again, so you can see the difference. So clearly here, image quality takes a hit, everything takes a hit, so it's still playable obviously, but much blurrier, and I would not recommend this mode unless you're really after high frame rates, and 60 is not enough, and I think it is for such a game. Texture filtering is actually quite bad here. If you look at the ground, it's like there's a grid disappearing as I actually go forward. That's very strange. And the graphics mode to finish. Kill this guy. Not very happy with me just hanging around. But see, overall, it's also quite smooth. It's just maybe what I would do for me personally, and generally it worked well. But maybe it was also VRR working its magic. But I would just choose the default mode, and then open the settings and improve the shadow quality. And usually I had a smooth experience. So that's it for me. Not sure it's enough, but we'll have to do. So thank you for watching this, and hopefully I will be able to add more content in the upcoming weeks. There are actually big releases that are coming, but we probably won't have all of them in advance, so you'll have coverage when we can. Until then, take good care of yourselves, and thanks for your support. Bye bye now.